King Charles III is leading the royal family in the country and paying one last tribute to his mother Queen Elizabeth II. King Charles III marched behind Queen Elizabeth II's coffin in a solemn procession going from Westminster Hall to Westminster Abbey. The new sovereign led his siblings Princess Anne, Prince Edward and a devastated-looking Prince Andrew. The four royal siblings were followed by the Prince of Wales and Prince Harry, as well as members of the royal household. While the procession was ongoing, other members of the royal family were driven to the Abbey. Kate, the Princess of Wales, and Queen Camilla shared a car with Prince George and Princess Charlotte. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, arrived separately, as did other non-working members of the firm. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex sat in the second row during the funeral service, which began at 11 a.m. Non-royal guests started taking their seats at Westminster Abbey since 8 a.m., hours before the beginning of the service. Former Deputy Prime Minister Sir Nick Clegg and Professor Sir Chris Whitty, Chief Medical Officer for England, were among the first notable guests to have been caught on camera while taking their seats in the splendid Abbey. Business Secretary Jacob Rees-Mogg was also spotted entering the church, where the Queen got married in 1947 and crowned in 1953. The Princess of Wales' parents, Carol and Michael Middleton, joined the congregation approximately 2 hours prior to the beginning of the service, wearing somber black outfits. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte Macron were seen queuing alongside other guests, including Charles Michel, the President of the European Council, to get to their seats. Yesterday, the Macrons and U.S. President Joe Biden were among the thousands of people who walked through Westminster Hall to pay their respects to the 96-year-old late sovereign. They later joined her son the King and other prominent members of the firm at one of the biggest receptions held at Buckingham Palace in years. As it has happened since the death of Elizabeth II, the new monarch will be accompanied throughout this difficult and momentous day by his wife, Queen Camilla. Camilla, who reportedly broke one of her toes before the death of the Queen, has been taking part in several events over the past 11 days of mourning, and toured the home nations with her husband of 17 years. Over the past few days, the former Duchess of Cornwall had the chance to pay an emotional televised tribute to the Queen, aired yesterday by the BBC shortly before the minute of silence held at 8 p.m. Speaking about the record-breaking monarch, Camilla said, "She's got those wonderful blue eyes, that when she smiles they light up her whole face. I will always remember her smile. That smile is unforgettable." The Queen Consort and King are to be joined by other members of the royal family, including the Prince and Princess of Wales and their two eldest children, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, in the funeral procession ahead of the service. Some members of the royal household are also to be part of the cortege. The funeral procession will depart from the hall, where Queen Elizabeth II has been lying in state since Wednesday. The doors of the hall closed to the public at 6:30 a.m. today. The Queen's firstborn acceded to the throne on September 8, after his mother died peacefully at Balmoral Castle, her beloved Scottish residence. The 73-year-old sovereign has since had little time to privately mourn the Queen, as he has undertaken several duties necessary to mark his new role as the head of state of the UK and 14 other nations. Accompanied on most occasions by his doting wife Camilla, the King has since, among other engagements, toured the four nations, met the heads of the British Armed Forces and received the Governors-General of the realms. Last Friday, he led his three siblings during an emotional tribute to the Queen. Entering Westminster Hall as thousands of members of the public were queuing to pay their respects to the late sovereign, King Charles took his place at the front of the coffin for a 15-minute-long vigil. Charles' sister Princess Anne and youngest brother Prince Edward stood at the sides of the catafalque, while Prince Andrew, donning a military uniform in public for the first time since he stepped back as a working royal, was at the back of the coffin. The following day, These senior royals' children took part in a similar and hugely emotional vigil.